top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Run for cover, you'll discover some will thrive and others suffer. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Woo! Don't wait, don't hesitate. Better speak the truth, let it resonate and let it detonate and get blown away till you keep on rising to a higher place. Can't stop, won't stop, don't stop coming till we hit the top. Gotta keep pushing till the day I make it. Since they won't give it to me, then I got to take it. The pain today is power tomorrow. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. No matter what they say, I wouldn't do it any other way. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Not enough to keep us smothered. Lower class, never the upper. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of it.
Good evening, UN Spacey Wolf Squadron. This is your Commander Wolf 10. I am your werewolf. Tonight we are going to talk about something that goes bump in the night. Something more spooky.
Ron Perlman and dress and makeup.
That's actually pretty frightening. We also are talking about a lot of things. Hopefully we will stay on topic tonight. We are talking about ghosts, specifically supernatural phenomena and paranormal occurrences, both in story, in pop culture, in real life events. I'm here with the mastermind of this shindig, that is the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Good evening and welcome everyone as we talk about ghosts and ghouls on tonight's Real Millennials.
Sure. Good. Well, Dark. Dark, you're that impression. I get it. But anyway, all right. Evening, everybody. All right, welcome to tonight's episode of the Real Millennials, where we're going to talk about anything and everything related to parapsychologists and occult detectives, from your Ghostbusters to Harry Deon Moores, anywhere in between.
Side note, are you at a party? It sounds like you're at a party.
No, it's
It's going to be one hell of a night.
Yep.
We have returning regular, the Authenticator.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back.
We have the lovely Leia Valor, Leia plus size.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry that I'm coming in late, but I had a busy Saturday night. But this is Leia plus size, who love you, Leia Valor. And welcome to our discussion into the paranormal. I know this is going to be probably a fun discussion. You know, we come up with some interesting things to say. So thank you for joining us.
The humblest of writers, Humble Marty.
Hello, I'm Humble Marty, and I write things.
And last, we have the Sixth Ranger, Dark Stranger.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
So what are we talking about tonight, Dom?
Yeah, I really am not clear. Are we talking about our favorite stories or writing, or what exactly are we covering?
Well, there was like a comic show.
I'm trying to talk about your favorite works of fiction that features like characters like the Ghostbusters, or essentially anyone that investigates the paranormal and supernatural.
I couldn't understand it over the other guy.
Yeah, it's like two people were talking at the same time. Don, can you repeat what you just said?
Paranormal investigation?
Yes, paranormal investigation.
Basically, in the background, Dom, you might want to turn it off.
No,
if you can.
no, that's actually music being played in the background.
Okay.
Weird boss music. Sorry.
In the end.
That's okay. We were trying to get because I didn't know if we were talking about. I don't know if we were creating stories, or we were saying our favorite movies or stories about our favorite ghost stories.
I think it's our favorite examples. I think.
Okay.
Examples of paranormal investigator.
Okay. Examples. Oh, I saw a video on YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can look for it while we got our show going. That talks about things, about haunted London, and it dealt with the Tower of London. Some very interesting, spooky stories coming from there. Very famous ones, and other ones I've heard about, like the ghost of Guy Fawkes. People say I think there's a apartment or area in the Tower of London that was named after Guy Fawkes, and people say at night you can hear his screams from being tortured about the gunpowder plot. There are stories about people who hear the laughter of children who could be the two princesses in the tower, the young children believably murdered by Richard III. All types of interesting little tales. It's recent. It's brand new. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in MeWe and link it here.
I mean, London is one of the oldest cities in the world. It's unsurprising that it is one of the most haunted cities in the world as well. I mean, all things considered, America has quite a lot of ghost stories, given how briefly America, in its modern context of post-European settlement, has existed. We're a very young country, and yet we also have a bunch of ghosts around these parts.
The most popular I've heard is in Salem, Massachusetts. I think I watched something on TLC about some parts of Salem, Massachusetts still be haunted by those that were accused of witchcraft. Since you brought that up about America, because that's interesting. Because I don't recall if anybody recalls any famous ghost stories about America or American ghost fables. I hear a lot about Salem, the Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, I know one. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Yeah, that actually covers quite a bit of that.
That counts it.
Why, Dark?
Mhm.
Why are you like the way? Why are you the way you are?
You had to ask, Authenticator. You had,
Right.
you had to.
It was mostly a sign of exasperation more than a legitimate question. But why are you the way you are?
Well, was Sleepy Hollow count? The Headless
Uh,
Horseman? But that's a fate. That's not exactly a ghost sighting. That's a story that was
George Washington
well,
Irving.
well,
yeah.
it's based on an actual ghost story
If I'm not mistaken, we're also covering pop culture
Say that
content as
again.
well.
Okay. What, like
Well,
Poltergeist
you were
and Ghostbusters? But go ahead, Authenticator.
Scary Movie 2.
I was just talking about George
George
Washington
Washington
Irving.
Irving.
Washington Irving adapted a already existent ghost story. Although the original version of the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow probably was a Doulahan rather than a ghost. A Doulahan is a headless creature from Irish mythology and is technically one of the Sidhe, so a fairy technically, and also a zygopomp. A zygopomp being a being that ferries the souls of the dead to the other side, etc. He Washington Irving adapted it because he wanted to sort of update it for what was at the time relatively modern history. So he, instead of making it a Doulahan, um, he made it a ghost who lost his head in the Revolutionary War because again, relative or not the Revolutionary War, the French and Indian War. Excuse me. but
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to update it for what was at the time a contemporary audience. I personally think that in so doing, he kind of took a lot of the mystique out of it. But then again, I find Ghost to be somewhat boring when you compare that to all the other supernatural entities that are said to exist in the world. Humans, at least in my head, humans don't become more interesting just because they took off their meat suit. Humans are boring, relatively speaking, when you compare it to deities and fairies and demons and every other variety of supernatural entity that can exist in the world.
How they end up interacting with people is kind of funny.
The first time I saw the story of Ichabod of Sleepy Hollow, actually was in elementary school. I saw the Disney's version of it, and then I saw another version of it, and I cannot remember the studio that did it. And that was the first time. And then in school, they told the story of Sleepy Hollow. Scared me at first as a kid. Ghost stories, it did scare me, you know, of the story. And especially when Ichabod was on his way home and he came encounter with the Headless Horseman, and then people never saw Ichabod Crane again. And I was like, oh, poor Ichabod. That's so unfair. I guess I had the Buffy spirit in me. Like, that's unfair for that ghost to be haunting these people and taking their heads. That's mean. I remember telling the teacher that. But as a side note, that's the first time I heard of the story. But
I think a lot of people's first exposure to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow is probably the Disney version.
yeah,
I wish that they had gotten a chance to make that into a full theatrical cut, like they
They
originally
had
wanted to.
they did have a live action theatrical cut. It was done by a series of VHS that was based on books and movies, and they decided to just not show the entire ghost during that time.
And then of course the one that's probably uh, the most recognizable in recent years is the is the
Johnny
Johnny
Depp
Depp,
one.
yeah, the Johnny Depp one,
yeah, with Tim
where
Burton.
they where they turned Ichabod into a sort of proto forensic scientist for no established reason.
Huh.
Yeah, and he was sort of a wimpy little coward. I mean, Johnny Depp's a good actor, but I was like, okay, that's the way they want to play it.
Well,
Some
and
versions
was
play it more
nearly
obvious more than others.
they played Merry Hell with Ichabod's backstory too, adding that his mother was a witch and his father was a like inquisitor and so on and so forth.
Wait,
Which is
I
seriously?
recall correctly. There,
it's an interesting story, but why the fuck they felt the need to append the Sleepy Hollow IP onto it, I will never understand.
Probably to differentiate from the Disney one.
Well, yeah, but
Mm,
like he could have just made an original thing that didn't need to desecrate Washington Irving's story in order to do it, because the
the
Ichabod
question
Crane
is,
of Johnny Depp fame has nothing in common with the character in the book.
Still a good movie.
I mean, it is, but I'm just like, this feels like Tim Burton wanted to tell a completely different story, and then he thought it'd be interesting if we appended the Sleepy Hollow IP onto it. And I'm like, you could have just done an original story. It's not like you haven't done that before, Tim. What with Corpse Bride and Beetlejuice and so on.
it's weird to make Ichabod Crane be like half witch when in reality you could just had him been the researcher.
Well,
Yeah,
but the one thing I do, as much as it annoys me that they basically used the Sleepy Hollow IP for no reason, I do kind of like the implication that the reason why Ichabod is so obsessed with the natural sciences is because it's sort of his innate sort of witchcraft coming out in a rationalistic um
But
in a rationalistic worldview, because he got cut off from his sort of family tradition. And then of
mm,
course the irony of he goes on to marry Katrina, who in that version is also a witch in her own right. So one wonders, A, if they ever have any children, will Ichabod and Katrina raise them as witches, or will Ichabod keep the scientific fixation that was his sort of coping mechanism into adulthood?
Well, let's all be honest. It was the '90s, and the whole investigator thing. It was just Burton's attempt at Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks.
Wolf,
I
what were you going
mean,
to say?
you're not exactly far off. And Cooper, like even in Twin Peaks, even though like he's from, like he was sent to Twin Peaks like from the FBI, like he became an indirect like occult detective as well because he has encountered a lot of paranormal activity in the.
I mean, speaking of the '90s, and pop culture sort of equivalents of occult detectives and researchers and things, we'd be loath not to mention agents Mulder and Scully of X-Files fame.
Mm, that is true.
Oh yeah, of course. It was the
Oh
part of
yeah,
the show.
they
But
have certainly encountered phenomenon of both the supernatural and extraterrestrial kind.
before we do, Wolf, did you have anything to say about Sleepy Hollow? It seemed like you wanted to get a comment in.
Well, the
Is
only
it?
question I was asking was Ichabod a bit of a wimp or a coward, or
I
was he
saw him
more
as.
courageous in the books?
In
I mean,
in the short story, Ichabod was documented to be superstitious, and it was implying that he was a coward, although it didn't really state it outright in the short story.
Well,
The
let's also
the
not forget. I mean, Leia says he was weak and wimpy, but when the horseman came and killed that one family, him and Casper Van Dien did join him in fighting the horseman. So he
um
wasn't entirely wimpy.
well,
True. I can give
again, to
that.
be fair, he was a hyper superstitious coward in the original short story, so him being wimpy isn't out of character. Um, my
I'm talking
favorite,
about the movie.
my favorite part of the '90s Sleepy Hollow is after Ichabod finally comes in no uncertain terms face to lack of faith with the horsemen. Um, he has an emotional breakdown, and he's babbling to Balthus Van Tassel about it's all real and blah 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 blah, and Balthus Van Tassel, played by Michael Gambon, is just like, we told you, everyone told you, this was obvious. At no point did anyone say anything else. You're the one who said that to yourself. That scene always makes me laugh because, speaking myself as a practicing occultist with 19 years of experience and counting, I frequently have those moments where like someone will tell me I didn't really believe in all this stuff until this thing happened to me, and I'm like, well, it was always real. You just didn't want it to be there.
Okay.
Very true.
That is you that is you sucking copium. That is not some world changing thing. You just had the veil uh, forcefully lifted from your eyes. Welcome to the welcome to those of us that acknowledge reality.
So, Mumble, you haven't really said too much. You want to throw in?
Especially being a
I
writer.
have like one anime that my art teacher showed me to. It's called Ghost Hunt, and it
Hmm.
basically covered the whole 9 yards. You had the evil spirits. You also had probably the Catholic priest who had the Australian accent. The Shinto priest from a rock band, a middle-aged Miko, and then the girl who happened to be caught up in it, and the medium who had, I guess, some type of love triangle with the guy who was the head of the entire institute and was supposed to be a famous psychic.
What was that anime called?
Ghost hunts.
I will have to check that out. That sounds. I'm particularly amused by the idea of a Shinto priest who's a rock star for some reason, but I mean there are weirder things in anime logic, so I suppose I shouldn't be that surprised.
Oh, the funny part is they play most of the ghost hunting stuff straight, and yeah, they play the nightmare fuel and the ghost hunting stuff straight, but the drama stuff goes on anime logic.
Uh-huh.
And I can't really say about any of the individual cases. So I can say one of the filler arcs, the medium got possessed by a ghost, and since she's like straight faced, she ends up taking on the personality of whoever possessed her. Which is honestly a bizarre thing because she's usually very taciturn, and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, you're so hot! I was like, get away from my man, dude.
Oh, anime.
It wouldn't be anime if it didn't anime.
This is true. And the world would be all the poorer for it.
That is true.
At this
Still
point,
want to
a
see
lot
the
of us
movie.
are thinking that. At this point, a lot of us are thinking that Japan will end up being the savior of the Western world, because Lord knows the Western world can't be ours to do it most of the time.
It's got its own problems.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to see the Japanese movie called House. Mostly about a haunted house, and a whole lot of hijinks ensues in very Japanese fashion. Most notably, one of the girls gets devoured by a piano, and only half of her body is still moving.
And a clock. And
yokai.
There was also another. There was also another one besides the Hellboy comics with the BPRD.
Yeah, they have their own solo series too.
Yeah.
That don't involve Hellboy. Haven't read them yet.
Honestly, controversial opinion time. As much as I do like Hellboy as a character, he in particular is one of the least interesting parts of the wider Magnolia BPRD universe.
To be fair, that's also what makes him the most interesting because he's the actual reluctant demon, and he's not. And yeah, that actually makes a good point.
Yeah, technically the beast of the apocalypse, but also kind of just the dumb muscle of the BPRD in a lot of cases.
Thank Del Toro for that one. It's not really in particular dumb muscle. He's actually clever muscle. It's just that the movies tend to paint him as a sort of I wouldn't say dude bro.
Musclehead.
Yeah. Biker.
He almost has frat guy vibes in the Del Toro ones.
Ron Perlman vibes.
He's supposed to be some tough guy that cuddles cats, and it's like, kind of like the comic book one better.
I mean, the cats thing, I believe, is in the comics.
That's true. The cat thing is true. That part's true.
he does like the kitties, which
Mm-hmm.
as a cat person myself, I find that exceedingly relatable. Although even I am like, HB, you got to stop at like 2 or 3 because otherwise you can't give all of them the appropriate amount of love they need. Especially not with him being busy, saving the world and fighting monsters and things.
The worst one to pair him up with would have been Alphonse from Full Metal Alchemist when he was still a walking tin can suit.
Yeah, but there's so much more interesting things going on than HB himself in the
True.
Hellboy universe. Which isn't to
True.
say that Hellboy isn't himself interesting. It's just that compared to a lot of the other things going on in his universe, he's comparatively rather straightforward.
True.
We were speaking of the X Files. Do you guys want to
We
move
we,
on to the X
we
Files? Are you
yeah
still
we were- we
here?
yeah we were.
And they're paranormal investigators of Mulder and Scully. Um, but they just didn't look for ghosts. They covered just about every gambit from UFOs to supernatural to folklore to all
Um,
kinds of. I think they covered the
Yeah,
they-
whole universe.
anything there's ever been like a creepy pasta or a conspiracy theory about, essentially.
Well,
Yeah,
heck, they had ended up inspiring a whole slew of paranormal investigation stories. I
Well,
mean,
and al-
the template of the organization,
and
not
and
that
and also
particular.
and also like people in real life probably took up ghost hunting after watching X Files, and same thing probably with cryptozoologists and ufologists.
what, what,
A lot of people probably got their start fanboying about X Files.
And alien astrophysicists.
when I first started, I thought X Files was just going to be about alien conspiracy theories. But then when they started having Mulder go more into the paranormal, the show got more interesting to me.
It's just sad that Mulder only got sloppy seconds, and Scully was actually willing to give him some after she got kind of impregnated by an alien in that movie.
Oh, darn
It's
Well,
kind of
it.
sad.
I mean to be fair, it's not like she cheated on him with the alien. I don't think her consent was a factor.
I mean, we had chest bursters in this movie. We had body bursters.
Hmm.
That was insane.
What on the
Still
X
love the
Files?
movie. The movie, yeah.
Oh, X Files the movie. Oh, okay. Yep, I
Yeah,
still would
Yeah, and
say.
it
still for
all
the life of me
started
can't
with a.
figure out.
Oh, gone.
I still can't for the life of me figure out why the bomb expert let himself blow up.
Hmm.
The
I still
movie,
also find it funny that it started with a black infectious biohazardous goo. Hey.
the movies didn't live up to the show's legacy very well at all.
That's what a lot of people say.
I
Yeah,
never saw the second one.
me neither. I didn't see the second one or the third one. Thought they just did what wasn't right.
There was a third one.
Yeah, there was a third one called X Files. I Want to Believe. I think
That
that
was
was
the
the
second
title.
one.
That was the
Was it?
second one.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there one more?
No.
No,
Okay, my fault. I got that mixed up. I thought another
and you
one
call
was made.
yourself an X Files fan.
Well, I remember I didn't see the second one. I thought there
The
was
thing
one more
is,
Well,
that
I
was
I, I
X
mean
made.
Files
I mean to
fans
be
know that there's only 2 movies.
Hmm.
I mean to be fair, like I say, the movies, even the one that people occasionally refer to as the good one, um, uh, weren't all that good. It really didn't live up to the legacy of the show. It's not like a Firefly Serenity situation. It did not. A lot of people don't even consider the movies canon a lot of the time. Which, to be fair, again, they're not very good. So I can understand the desire to not want
For
to
their
acknowledge
movies,
them.
they don't have to be canon. Most of the movies around the 90s that were made, movies out of shows that were already continuing probably on the last legs are usually just more of a complementary material
Yeah, I know, and
situation.
that is one aspect of the '90s I don't miss. I am glad we at least try, or we did try once upon a not so very long ago. Um, Today's day and age is different. Look at the current MCU as compared to like Phase 3 MCU, but um, at least for the briefest of moments, we did try to make movies and shows be in continuity with each other some of the time.
I don't expect them to be, but I expect them to be entertaining first and
But
foremost.
back on the subject of ghosts, and since we were talking about some sci-fi alien stuff, and since he might be here, just listening, let's. How about that Final Fantasy Spirits Within? Ghosts from another world invading.
Oh boy, that movie.
Are you
I
trying to
did not.
give Dom an aneurysm?
Mm,
I didn't see that movie, so I don't have much to say
I
on
don't
it.
remember Don sounding like me, but yeah, that movie was interesting to say the least, especially for how big it was and how marketed it was for its time when it was before release. I mean, nobody knew what to expect exactly. It's just it was a movie that had the title Final Fantasy and it had spirits within, and it was just like this very big sci-fi desolate world story that really just it left a lot to be desired, to be honest. I mean, the only selling point it had for it was just the new age technology they were pushing at the time for the CGI they were using to animate the characters in the story, which for its time was groundbreaking, especially Aki, whom they really did use for the marketing, for the selling point. You know, they were hoping to, in a way,
But
generate deep. Hang on,
but
hang on.
unfor-
Let me finish my thought. They were trying to generate the very first animated character that could have went somewhere. They were going somewhere with it, but they never accomplished what they were going to do. So due to the movie flopping, and
unfor-
one company closed down and went bankrupt. And later on, we got Final Fantasy Advent Children.
unfortunately, unless you're James Cameron, you can't sell a movie franchise on just a technical achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
Pixar would beg to differ.
I'm convinced James Cameron made some sort of like Faustian bargain to make the Avatar movie successful, because that's the only way I can rationalize in my head as to why, despite the fact that literally no one talks about the Avatar franchise in the James Cameron sense. Obviously, when most people hear the word Avatar, they think of Aang, Katara, Toph, and Sokka, and so on. They do not think of indistinguishable blue people. But somehow, despite the fact that literally no one cares about anything about
I think
the
that depends
Avatar
on your social
franchise
circles.
outside of the technical aspect, uh, it still managed to make two bastarding $1 billion apiece.
I was never a fan of the Avatar movies myself. For those, I didn't. I saw the first one, and I have not seen the. I
I'm
didn't
not
see the
watching them.
sequel, and I didn't care for it. I don't care to run to go see the new one coming out, Fire and whatever it's
Sure,
called.
the new one stole my damn script that I would have wrote for that damn
Oh,
movie.
Fire, yeah,
Ja-
Fire and Ash is the
Like
next one.
like James Cameron fucking killed for my damn script that I would have wrote if I was in the meeting room with him. Because number one, I would not have him wrote Dances with Wolves. I would wrote specifically, humanity commingling with a brand new alien species and a brand new alien biome trying to live their lives in a better world, and rival communities and rival tribes are trying to fuck around with people just to get at this material that is buried beneath underground.
And let's
And
not call it unobtainium.
Oh, I
they're not.
sure would. We're
They're
not talking
not.
about Nathaniel.
They don't even give a shit about unobtainium anymore. As of the second one, they apparently care far more about whale brain goo because it makes people immortal for some reason. Granted, in this continuity, they have hyper advanced cloning technology and the ability to download their consciousness onto said clones.
Mhm.
So I don't know why they would give a half a fuck about whale brain goo immortality when they have
I'm like,
infinite
shit. Well,
clone
next
jutsu.
in the
Because
next
he
movie,
needed a
Oh
story
man,
about whaling.
could
my
we?
thing is,
Yeah,
Go
go
on,
on,
humble.
humble. Go on,
I'm
humble.
sorry. It's just that I remember the first movie was all about protect the environment, and now this movie is let's go whaling for immortality.
And then
And
next we're gonna have Ash that probably spells eternal youth, and now we have the very first human that can now breathe on Pandora. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, so Pandora has the solution to every fucking thing in this
the
damn franchise.
the implication is supposed to be that Awa, the like deity of the Navi, intervened to give Spider the ability to breathe on Pandora, which just again, speaking of making the entire previous plot of the previous movie redundant yet again, um, if if Awa can just give humans the ability to breathe on Pandora, um, of what use is the immortality brain goo gonna be? And never mind that the whale brain goo was apparently so influential that it completely made no one mention unobtainium a single time in the second one. So,
But
so are we?
we're
Is it,
diverting from the main subject,
yeah.
ghosts.
Sorry,
Please.
I, I can't pass up the ability, or I can't pass up an opportunity to shit on James Cameron for being a hack.
Gotta put a plug on that at some point.
Hmm,
We can do that in the chill streams.
I don't think James Cameron would have done a very good Men in Black.
That's funny.
James Cameron has not made a good movie in 20 years, so I agree with you.
Well, he's coming back to the Terminator franchise apparently.
Which he really doesn't need to.
Or actually, no. If we count things that James Cameron was involved in, then Alita Battle Angel was very good. But
Hmm.
I credit that to Robert Rodriguez more than I do James Cameron.
Well,
I guess now would be a good time to bring up Yu Yu Hakusho then, because that's also dealing with ghosts and spirits and all forms, all manner of supernatural beings, but specifically it's meant to be ghosts and spirits, and
And a
especially
teenage
delving.
boy fingering them.
That'd be fun.
And Berserk, if we're keeping in the like anime diaspora.
And Berserk goes heavy in the supernatural as well, especially when it comes to spirits and ghosts, especially spirits that can possess you at any given time if you are a marked sacrifice, that if any of them get onto you, it's over for you. And they could pop in at any given time and have the ability to possess just about anything that has a weak spirit or at least a weak heart. In the case of Farnese,
Hmm.
in her moment
Mhm.
of weakness, especially around guts when his mark starts attracting them. And let's not lest we forget the conviction art, which was pretty much ushered in, which pretty much was a vehicle to usher in hell on earth, or at least the beginning of hell on earth.
Or, or the Lost Children arc after Golden Age.
Well, before that was before conviction.
Yeah,
I'm
I
only
should.
bringing up conviction because conviction lead more into the more spirit angle to it. Lost Children was more of the demonic, and let's not forget the trolls, all the
Yeah,
trolls, but
but
they're
well,
they're
but
more
to be
more into
fair, like
physical
Parasite.
and metaphysical, whereas in conviction, hang on, Don. in Conviction, it was leaning very heavily on the spiritual possession angle to everything, where a lot of the inhabitants in within that refugee camp were experiencing a lot of spiritual takeovers, made worse by the fact that it was powered up by a lot of bad emotional energies and negative karma, not helped by the Holy See. But go ahead, Don. Take over.
Sure.
Well, that's well, what I was saying earlier. Like occult detectives and parapsychologists, like real and fictional, like they have not just like spirits, but also demons as well. So like like with Lost Children, yeah, it does like involve like demonic activity, especially like with children, and children like being turned into what look like fairies, but in reality they're not. They became like wasp like demons.
Mm. Though there was a moment where Gus encountered a spiritual phenomenon too during Lost Children, which was the burning children scene where
Mm-hmm.
he's faced with a campfire, and the campfire erupts into fiery constructs of burning children. So there was not counting the fact that there was also spirits roaming around him, as I think her name was Jill, that was approaching him just to seek
Hmm.
comfort. Yeah, seeking comfort from him, and
She couldn't find Barry, so she needed some other big hurling man to protect her,
but like
so she
she
didn't become a sandwich.
but like as she approached him, Puck warned her not to get anywhere near him because the fact that there's shadowy spirits surrounding him, and it's best not to be too close. But of course, that was. Let's not forget that there was the after the eclipse where there was the schools of ghosts trying to take over him too, and he had to fight them off with his sword. Well, with skull, wow, Skull Knight's sword. But yeah, that Berserk has moments of weird in a good way. It's impressive. It's impressive that Miura has that high amount of knowledge to go around and utilize it to the point where it comes off where he make it his own at times.
Hmm.
Well, the research.
Yeah, it's like this. I just like the fact that the spirits could be ever present at any given time, where you just can't have no moments of respite, no moment to rest, because as I said, if you're marked for sacrifice, you gotta be on your toes because if anything get at you that use you for a sacrifice to complete whatever it is that the guy hand's trying to complete with Femto, which by the way is incomplete because they haven't consumed all of the sacrifices. So that was kind of like a big deal too during the arcs of that story. But yeah, they so far the only remaining marked ones are still alive. So I'm waiting for the series to complete itself to really see um, if Miura's pals would ever follow up on what could be the potential consequences of not completing such a ritual. You know, what will be the consequences behind that? Because they don't really bring that up that much in the story. He for 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 his time on this planet, rest his soul, didn't really he really didn't as I would say touch on that enough.
Reach out and touch me.
Reminds me of Procedure 110 Montauk from the SCP continuity,
Hmm.
which I guess if we're counting, fictional parapsychologists and paranormal investigators, uh, I guess we should mention at least a little bit of SCP, considering that they have a whole ass staff full of researchers that specifically their job to do nothing but research paranormal stuff.
Now, those who, for those like who are not familiar with the SCP Foundation, how would you explain it to the uninitiated?
Um, hmm. Uh, the BPRD for edgy British brats, basically, is how I would describe the SCP Foundation.
Yeah, you're not far off.
I just kept on. Well, when you were speaking of Berserk, I was just getting vibes of D Gray Man.
Yeah, D Gray Man counts. Counts that they have countered, like beings like benevolence as well as
They
malevolence, like in their various
they
adventures.
are, yeah, they are more of an organization that has to go after a very specific kind of monster that was basically based on a sin, because the Earl comes down, he's like, I will resurrect your friend and he'd be perfectly fine. And then they find out that he brings out what is basically a gunpla kit of a mechanized weapon, and the weapon possesses a body, and nope, nobody wins because it's a devil deal.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want like examples of the works fiction that deal like with traditional like occult detectives and parapsychology, well, there's Hell Teacher Nube. Let's tell a story like of a elementary school teacher who is also like investigates and take down like malevolent spirits of any demons too. Deal with the help of his demonic hand, but also with assistance from his students as well.
Hmm.
There's also Hell Girl, the series Hell Girl that deals in mostly a spirit, a vengeful spirit with her spiritual disciples that pal around with her that punishes the wicked and the Faustian deal makers as well. In later on, when they come to collect their souls to be tormented.
Hmm.
Well, adding to other paranormal stuff, one thing that's been in the talks lately, Silent Hill.
Definitely, Silent Hill is up there, both spiritual and psychological.
Hmm.
There's never a. It's always a question of whether it's happening within the brain or whether it's happening within the town itself being haunted or have taken over. Given that the story within each of the mainline games, both from 1 to 3, follows the traditional story behind Silent Hill itself. When it came down to a practicing religion that wanted to birth a malevolent god, and the vessel that was to birth it ended up rebelling and creating this abstract version of the town itself, and those who go into it has to confront their own demons within that town, and it's usually always somebody that rolls up into that town. And the crazy thing about Silent Hill is that you never know what location it could be. It could possibly be off one road that you usually take or another road that you usually take, which was always fascinating to me, is that one does not simply avoid Silent Hill. Yes, I used the meme. Don't at me.
Okay.
It just
One does
finds
not
you.
simply avoid the Sean Bean meme.
That's what I was thinking, but I just let Wolf talk.
I am self-aware that I used the damn meme. That's why I said don't at me,
Okay.
and y'all end up doing it anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, it's an entity upon itself due to the spiritual and psychic forces of one being that was grievously tortured to no end, tormented, all for one selfish goal, and you're just there experiencing that torment, but you're experiencing your own torment within that torment. And the best way to do it, to get through it, is just to confront yourself, confront your inner demons, your inner plague within your mind, and apparitions and uh, and monsters will arise to challenge you in multiple forms, grotesque forms. Again, it doesn't help that the psychological trauma that you probably dealt with in your life comes into play, but you fight through
What
it, and that's how you get through Silent Hill. Apparently, that's usually how the
what
game usually goes.
what do you think of the headcanon that Silent Hill moves, the town moves, kind of like those ghost houses are that appear sometimes in folklore? They
Uh,
appear to
Not
the
necessarily a
people
headcanon,
either
just
in
my
need
own
of them
personal theory.
or that are vulnerable to them, etc.
As I said, it's not really a headcanon. It's my own personal theory that it tends to shift and move because I think they do give Silent Hill a location, but they don't really.
It has a location in the lore. It's one that's unique in that there's always been peculiarities in there, and then eventually there was a mining town built upon it, and somewhere's a cult like forget what they called themselves, made it a thing to explore these abnormalities, and in doing so they made contact or something with these forces, or a force that's within this abnormalities that they saw as a god, and
In
etc
other
etc.
words, yeah, in other words, it's Gravity Falls for grown-ups. But tish.
Before Gravity Falls, but that's a nice analogy.
I was mostly just saying it to be a dick, but
You're
it is
channeling dark.
it
Cool.
it is kind of applicable now that I think about it.
The thing is,
Especially if we do kind of uh, run with the idea that it's sort of that all this extra dimensional weirdness is sort of drawn there.
now that we bring up Silent Hill, there's another game that I have only touched the first game on, but Fear. First encounter Assault Recon for those who don't know what the acronym means, but there's a lot of supernatural next to psychic and psychological at work there too with the main villainess Alma who was experimented on horrifically to the point where she developed psychic abilities. And to that effect, usually when she comes around, it does kind of give out the eerie effect of her being an apparition at times, or at least she comes to you in the form of an apparition. She comes into you through three forms: the child, the hag, or as many would call her, the hottie. And she gets on to you. God forbid you're a male. because she wants your seed.
Well, I'm sorry, darling, but I don't swing that way. Whoa.
Hmm. Well, sadly, you don't. If she
Yeah, so
gets you,
what does
you ain't got no
Surpose
choice in
and
the matter.
Dan wanting someone's banana?
Dan is gro- well, I wouldn't say it's grown on me. It's already hooked me in. I definitely would not need to continue Dan. That one deals with both. I would say Dan is um Japan's X Files. Now that we brought up X Files earlier, I would say that yeah, I do believe that Dan is Japan's very own X Files
That's
because you have
not.
Okaroon who is the molder. You have you kind of have Ayase as sort of the Scully, a more tsundere version of Scully. Does help with the it does help the fact that she also has like a bit of a I guess reddish auburn hair, and his hair almost mirrors Mulder's.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad parallel. I didn't notice that until you just said that, but yeah, it works.
I didn't notice that until we brought it
So
up. I was like, wait a minute, hang on.
where
Dan
would
actually kind of
Gigi
has some
fit? Because
similarities.
I don't remember which one in X Files had the goofy golden retriever personality and the
Well, they don't
humor
necessarily
of
have to
a
be the
kid.
same. They kind of have almost the exact same premise.
Golden
True.
Retriever personality.
That's why it's called a parallel. It's not
Yeah,
a
I'm
look-alike.
trying to think.
Wait,
I'm,
hold on.
I'm
Are you talking about the one where a guy uses like this rope to kill people, and he takes their life essences with it and gives it to his dog?
No, Gigi was basically this. He was basically Momo's childhood friend, and he has the epitome personality of a class
Oh,
clown.
oh, Dan. Okay.
But yeah, I would say Japan's X Files is definitely Dan. I think before that it uh there was something else before Dan that was kind of close to being X Files for
Hmm.
for the Japanese.
Ghost
There's a
Sweeper
number of them actually.
Mikami, Ghost Hunters. Uh,
Sweeper Mikami is more of a Buffy that hunts
mm.
spirits, so to speak. Then again, I don't really look for the supernatural stuff. It tends to find me, like say for instance, uh, Death Note. Death Note found me. I didn't find Death Note
I
just
mean, you
because I
also
didn't
had
pick.
stuff like Witch Hunter Robin too.
Witch Hunter Robin comes close, so to speak. But then again, Witch Hunter Robin, Death Note, along with Blood Plus was more Japan's version of procedural shows that we were plagued with to know, still plagued with to no end.
Hmm.
Well, I know their shojo
They'll die
version
off with the
was
boomers,
Clamp.
just like the rest of TV.
Go ahead, Marty. What you gonna say?
One of the light novels I had was about Claned or Clamp. That was about. It was literally a paranormal research club, and they had, I guess, the samurai, the little kid who was supposed to be a ninja,
That's
the
probably what we're
male
talking about.
actress, and a couple of them, but they also had one that was supposed to be the capable guy in glasses, and he was the one that kept most of the club together.
I'm
I
saying
mean,
here,
Haruhi Suzumiya has a similar premise to that a little bit.
I'm surprised we haven't even talked about Shaman King and Danny Phantom.
Or Alan Wake.
Alan Wake, my God.
Danny Phantom, I know because it was a show my nephew watched, and during the time that was on the air, I did workshops with kids, and they would tell me how much they loved that show, and we did a workshop about Danny Phantom. I used
Did they ever
theatrical
tell you
work.
how much they hated that show after it finally ended?
No, I don't think
Why?
I don't remember. I think the program that I was in was over before the show ended. But why would they
It's
be upset?
because a particular character that
Sam.
Danny, she already said it. Yeah, it was
What?
Sam.
Sam? Wait a minute, I don't understand.
It was
Sam
around the character.
Sam was kind of a proto social justice warrior goth type.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm
take
not.
everything that you find annoying about an activist vegan and make it a goth chick.
Well, the problem with
Okay,
Sam was the
gotcha.
fact that the problem with Sam was not necessarily she was a pro social justice warrior. It's the For me, it's the fact that she was a fucking poser on everything she stood for. It's like she could commit, but she don't really stay consistent with it. So
Well,
she was basically a poser.
there's also the issue of because she was supposed to be a smart girl in the early 2000s, she can't really be framed as being in the wrong as often as she should be.
Hmm.
And that did kind of that soured a lot of people on Sam in retrospect
Valerie
because
was
she
his
can't,
best girl.
because not
Hands down.
only is she an insufferable activist bitch, but she's also framed as being morally correct in more cases than not.
That's the problem when it came to goths at that time. They were being back then, in the '90s, that you had the goths and then you had the emos, and then somewheres in the 2000s they just conflated the two and became synonymous.
Yeah, sadly.
Well, I think it's a broader problem. I think it's because every smart girl in some sense ended up kind of being Daria Morgendorffer from Daria
Yeah.
because that's the kind of person that the writers either were or admired.
You say think they were. Daria has some nuance to her.
She does, and that's why she is a much better character than 90% of all of the pseudo Darias. Raven notwithstanding, Raven is also on her own terms, even if she does definitely take some Daria influence here and there.
Which Raven are we talking about?
The one
The
that likes green.
Glen Arakami,
Oh,
Teen Titans Raven.
Oh, comic book Raven, not show Raven.
but since the name Sam got thrown around, how about some Dean for Leia?
I mean, Leia's not the only one who might have a thing for Dean every now and then.
Oh, good lord. What Dean? Which Dean? Dean Kane?
Winchester, Supernatural.
Oh,
Winchester.
Supernatural.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
there's also an
I'm
anime of
just,
Supernatural too.
I'm jiving with you. I knew where you were going with that.
Oh,
Who are you,
okay.
Raven?
Who didn't love Supernatural? Come on, those brothers were great.
I stopped at
Ah,
the
you're
first
right.
season.
Who,
Don't
who,
put
who,
me in that.
Their constant ability for self sabotage did annoy me eventually though. Like
yeah.
every time they might be approaching a happy ending, it's like, how do we take the worst left turn into this and fuck it up
Mm,
entirely? Like,
I
guys, I love you, but sometimes you do it to yourself.
yes. I,
Like
I get
you've
there.
almost won like 57 times at the last possible moment. Left turn into fucking
But
stupidity.
did they do it to themselves? Because you got to remember, by the
Yeah,
twist, the dorky guy we thought was
yeah,
God, and God wanted to
because
be a
yeah,
writer.
because Chuck literal Deus Ex Machina ing. But
Yeah,
at
he
least
wrote
from what I
everything.
remember of the final season, Chuck kept them around as long as they did because they managed to surprise him in interesting ways. So at least loosely, therefore, we can imply that some of this is some of this is on themselves rather than Chuck getting interventionalist, because it was Chuck getting interventionalist in the build up to the final season that made him the enemy and pissed him off enough to
So
want to end the multiverse.
what makes Supernatural appealing to everybody? What is, especially when it veered off to fighting apparitions to the point where now they're facing off against demonics and demons and angels. Like it became a more of a heaven hell on earth thing after a while.
It surprised me how long it took them to get to fairies. They didn't get to fairies until season 6, because it was during the Soulless Sam arc, and they were both surprised that fairies existed. And I'm like, excuse you, how many weird supernatural things have you come face to face with? Why is fairies the place you draw the line, guys? What the fuck?
That's kind of odd. I mean, they actually did cover fairy tales.
Yeah, and yet in season 6, the episode titled "Clap Your Hands If You Believe," they are both utterly mystified by the idea that fairies exist. And I'm like, excuse you, have you not been paying attention? What the fuck?
I'm gonna veer off into another show real quick. How do you guys like the ghost mechanics in Being Human?
Never got into it.
Yeah,
I've
I
only I, I've
tried.
only seen clips of Being Human, although I have seen clips of both of them, because there's the American
I
version
was
and
about to ask
the
you,
British
did you
version.
see both versions, either the abridged version or the American version? Because I'm more familiar with the American version, but I
Yeah, I've
hear
seen
that
I I've
obviously the
seen
original version is better.
yeah, I've seen clips of both. Surprising no one, the British one is better from what little I've seen of it. I didn't really get into either of them super hard, but I I liked the clips of both of them that I've seen, although I would agree, based purely on selection bias, I guess, that the British one is better. But I never took time to actually sit down and watch either of them. I probably
But
should do that at
excludes
some
you.
point.
So who else have seen it
I
besides
watched.
me?
I watched both the British and the American version. I
I've seen both.
I kind of
I've seen
didn't follow
both,
the
like
whole.
both versions of Being Human as well.
Look, motherfucker, damn!
Oh, here we go.
You gotta fix your connection because your connection lagging.
I never finished the whole series. I watched it for a couple of seasons, and for some reason or another, the premise just dropped off. Because in the British version, for a while there, spoiler, sorry, it seemed like the vampire and the ghost were having a thing for each other. And my mind is going, well, how is that going to happen since she's not human and he's a vampire? But whatever, things were different, but for a
I
while
guess
it
it's
had
a dead ringer.
yeah, I guess. I
I
guess.
already had the Dan Shamble PI series, so I didn't really need to go into that one.
Anyone seen Lockwood and Co? It
Have not
it's
heard
a
of it.
it's a Netflix one. It's
Is that the one with the bad and the demon?
um
No, wait, that's
n-
Haunted Hotel.
I yeah, I don't think
But I was
that
asking more of the ghost mechanics within Being Human. Maybe I should just explain to you guys, since I have uh, been with the series for a while and have still have a memory of how each of their selective monster mechanics work in that universe. What I found perplexing about that, what that mostly about that series, was the fact that Zoe was super OP comparative to Aiden and I forgot the other guy's name. I think his name was either Sam or Scott
Another Sam.
or
I th-
Michael. I don't know.
I think in this case it was Scott. I have vague recollections of that name being
But
applied.
regardless, she was the most OP out of all of them because apparently she's supposed to have limitations within her ghost abilities, but over time as the show kept going, they started adding more, or at least they were removing certain restrictions to her over time. Like for instance,
Mm.
like a ghost when they're ready to cross over, they're supposed to see a door, but apparently when she initially rejected her door, she was granted new abilities, which to be honest, that was where I was like losing. That's where the show was losing me right there.
I
It's like the moment she rejected her door, she get a power upgrade like almost every
I don't
two episodes or so.
I don't think that's a flaw unique to being human. It's the usual like quasi shonen power creep issue. Going back to Supernatural for a second, that is a show where the power creep got insane because I remember in like seasons 3, 4, and 5 when they were introducing angels in the Apocalypse story arc for the first time, angels were fairly accurately OP, and then cut to like season 7 and 8, and they're stabbing angels in the same way they stab demons with the Kura knife, and it's like there that was a time where you couldn't even be in the same room with an angel without it fucking with your head. What the fuck happened?
Swinging back to being human for the sake of the stream, she had the ability to even leave her house as far like further than she could possibly leave, to the point where she can also change into new clothes and get this, travel into moments through time and experience events within her house through time, to the point where she even effectively manipulated the timeline to some degree. And
I
that's why I quit the show.
I can't judge that without seeing it in context because it's possible they might have explained the power ups, but that does
Even if
sound
they
like
explained it,
the aforesaid power creep.
I would still would have quit it because I'm like, okay, Zoe, a lot of this shit is because of you. A lot of shit that's happening right now is because it's your fault. You need to stop fucking around with people trying to make people's lives better. Leave them alone. Be a ghost and hunt
Mhm.
people. That's
It
why I was like,
actually,
I quit this show.
Well, I
it
thought
actually.
also. Go ahead,
Oh, sorry.
Homo. No, go ahead.
It actually reminded me of a webcomic I read a long while back that was called "Hannah is Not a Boy's Name,"
I
and you had the guy named Hannah, his zombie assistant, who apparently had some type of amnesia, and you find out he's secretly OP, but no one knows why. Hannah, at least.
mhm.
Hang on,
And it could actually affect him very physically to the point of coughing up blood and things
hang on. Let me
if
jump
he
down
actually
down
used
here
it. Yeah.
because he hasn't said anything in a while. Don, what you think about being human and supernatural?
Oh, let's see. No, Supernatural should have ended a long time ago. It's stuck with its original plan, and being human, the original British is better than the American.
I'm
I
guessing he's Ubering.
I don't I don't know how I feel about when Supernatural should have ended, to be honest with you, because Supernatural did this weird thing where, like, just when I was thinking, okay, it might be time to finally cut it off, it would somehow cycle back and get good again. Like season 7 was the absolute pits for me. I hated season 7 so much because they set up so much potential by hypothetically tying in the Lovecraftian mythos, and then they just didn't do anything with it. And then like the Leviathan thing could have been so awesome if they had actually been similar to the Leviathan, the biblical mythology. But no, they're just super shapeshifters because reasons. But just when I'm thinking to myself, this is utter shite, I'm going to quit. season 8 comes along and we start getting the Men of Letters stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm reinvested again. And we got Metatron, and I'm reinvested in that again. Supernatural's weird. They go like,
No, his name's not Metatron. It's Booker.
in the context of the show, it was Metatron, and thus, yeah. But it was hilarious because even in character, he's supposed to be like the nerd angel, so that was hilarious. Although that reminds me of in season 5 when Dean is thinking, let's just get this over with already, and Castiel just beats the absolute fuck out of him, and Sam asks him what happened, and Dean just goes, "Don't piss off the nerd angel." Which, to be fair, would have been helpful information had they actually retained that knowledge, guys. But whatever. But yeah, Supernatural was weird in that just when I thought it couldn't get any, just when I thought it was okay, it might be time to finally let go of it, they'd get good again, and I'd be like, okay, I'm reinvested, and then they'd fuck it up again somehow.
Reignited, and it feels so good.
And it sounds like an
Reignited, cause
on
they
again, off again romance.
understood.
I liked some of the things they did in the final season, but I think making God the villain was too too far. Not because I'm opposed to that idea, especially given how petty God can be in the Old Testament and shit.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of God being the final boss is one something I called like 5 seasons before it happened. Um, but things that it did that annoyed me is it it ruined God's already established character. Like, if you're gonna make God the villain, you should try to make him the villain in the context of his already established character in the previous seasons. But no, they turned him they turned him from this, in this incredibly complex character with incredibly complex motivations and most importantly limitations to his fucking omnipotence, which is important in a series antagonist if you're going to make him the final boss of your final season. But also, they turned him into this petty guy who just wants to be entertained. And I'm like, okay, but that's not how you've acted in literally any other season, including the season immediately previous to this, where you were confronting your sister of the darkness, and so on and so forth. And I really dislike what they did in the final season, where um, in season 5, probably my favorite
Hey, what
episode
you
of the
open up,
entire
Dark?
show of Supernatural was Hammer of the Gods, where all the polytheistic gods show up, and Kali ends up reading Gabriel the riot act before she quote unquote kills him. Um, that was so freaking awesome. And then in the final season, it was revealed that God quote unquote created the polytheistic ones because he was sick of people not worshiping enough. And I'm like, you show you just like shitting on everything that was once good about you, don't you? Fuck you.
Hmm.
Oh, we had so many shows that's been like that, so many years. It's becoming a tradition at this point.
I I will say this, however, for Supernatural, at least it wasn't Once Upon a Time, because Once Upon a
Oh,
Time had self-destructive tendencies worse than almost any show I've ever fucking seen.
don't even get me started on Once Upon a Time. I don't even want to explain myself on Once Upon. Jesus Christ. Oh boy.
I I feel your pain, my brother. I also sat through all 7 seasons of that shit and
Oh, I couldn't. You're brave. You're better than
continued
me.
to
I fell
fucking
out after the first season.
I
But
stopped when they
continue.
announced Frozen. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
getting into
out
that
of it.
shit. Not,
They
And
not,
announced
no.
Frozen, and you let it
and
go.
and Mulan was gay, and I was like, okay, I'm
And
just
then
see where this
Cruella
is
showed. I was like,
going.
nope, nope, nope. Look, I can look. I'm willing to be okay with Peter Pan. I'm not just be allowing a fucking puppy killer to step into the supernatural world, this magical world. Uh, How the fuck does she fit into this bullshit?
She
okay,
don't, actually.
I'm gonna have to explain the exposition now, because
I don't
stupidly
think I want to know.
It,
You
well,
have to wait till next time.
you asked the question, and now you have
I'm being
opened
facetious, by the
you have,
way.
you have opened the door, and now here we
I'm
are.
sorry that I sound serious when I ask it, but I'm actually not being.
The
I really
the
don't want to know. Not right now, no.
the
Let's put
mechanical
some
in universe
other
reasons
ghosty
such as
stuff since we're going a little off topic with the Once Upon a Time.
right,
Evil
but
Dead.
How about
let,
something
let,
like
let
The
me let
Mist,
me ex- let
classic?
me explain,
Uh,
and then we can move on. The in-universe stupidity of Once
30
Upon a
words or
Time that
less.
allowed allowed Cruella to be a thing is apparently instead of these being different dimensions or different realms, they're different genres of storytelling that the realms are supposed to be based on. And so Cruella is from a world that's like perpetually the 1920s and some shit. And she got to the other realms by seducing the author, literally.
Kind of buy it, but we'll unpack that another time. Will you mention Dark?
Oh, I was mentioning like something like The Mist, classic Carpenter
Mm.
ghost story. The
You
remake
mean the
sucks
fog?
ass. Yeah, well, yeah, The Fog. My bad. And
I was gonna bring up also damn it, I just had it in my mind. Evil Dead.
hmm, but Herr Marty wishes to speak about Scooby Doo, and which has a lot to unpack with that one, and fun too.
Of course. Well, if I speak of Scooby Doo, I speak of the classic Scooby Doo, the most recent form of Scooby Doo. I've never really enjoyed because I always felt like it was trying to make Scooby Doo into something that it isn't. But the early episodes of Scooby Doo that some of us grew up with, oh yeah, like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, that kind of falls into what we're discussing really discussing tonight on our topic of ghosts and spirits and paranormal because they had to hunt down a different spirit in every episode.
Well, okay, Leia, because there are like infinite Scooby Doo jutsu. Um,
Mhm.
which versions of Scooby Doo are you talking about when you say the classic version? Because
The ones from the 60s and the 70s, the ones I watched as a kid.
Scooby Doo,
Saturday
where are
Morning
you?
Cartoon. Yeah, I'm sorry, Scooby Doo, where are you? Yes.
which ones do you have a problem with? I'm curious. 'Cause
Let's see now. Yeah, I wish I could give a direct title.
Mystery
Uh,
Incorporated,
yeah, Mystery Incorporated. Mystery Incorporated, Scoob.
Pop Nate
Yeah.
Scooby Doo,
What was the other one?
Pop Nate Scooby Doo.
Pop Net Scooby, and there's one that looked like it was done. It was supposed to. It was like turning Scooby Doo into Family Guy. I
Velma,
really, yeah. Oh, Velma's just a
yeah, Velma
menace in our
is a
culture.
blight on the soul of humanity that it even exists.
Yes,
But
It's
yes.
Velma got
atrocious.
the show. Velma got the general public to cheer for Scrappy.
You're right
yeah,
about that,
I
Humble.
yeah, but I I go back and forth as to how I feel on Mystery Incorporated because it's definitely not doing like what Scooby Doo should necessarily be doing, but it unlike Velma and some of the other ones like Scoob, it actually did I think add something to the IP, whereas
Mhm.
the whereas Velma is just antimatter for everything that I love, and it needs to die in a fire horribly and repeatedly, and then it needs to be pulled from that fire so that I can
Okay,
burn it
we
Focus.
with
get it.
ice
We
up
get it.
from the inside out.
Focus.
They did have the Scooby Doo franchise did have a zombie comic series where Scooby and Shaggy were a part of a military training program.
I remember that one. It to be fair, it's supposed to be an alternate universe, so it's allowed, I suppose.
That's not Scooby Doo Zombie Island, is it?
No.
No,
No,
Oh
Okay,
no.
that one was okay. It wasn't that. That was like a movie, so that one was okay. I kind of liked that one.
The
those
Scooby
That
Doo
was
movies the Scooby Doo movies are great on their own because the fact that they tend to go outside the Scooby Doo formula, which is there's a it's supposed to be a mystery that they're trying to solve, when in fact it's actually a real occurrence, a real phenomenon that they're encountering. In the case of Zombie Island, they're encountering real zombies. That's why when that, that's where the twist was effective of its time, especially when they marketed it. The moment when Fred tries to demask the zombie, he literally
Yeah, the head just
decapitated the
comes off.
zombie, and that's where you had that oh shit moment. This is real.
Right. Although to be fair, Scooby Doo has been doing that trick ever since it started.
Hmm.
Even the Where Are You ones had little subtle nods to the supernatural, like
Hmm.
in the witch and zombie episode, the voodoo doll works. They meet the witch in the Captain Curler episode, who can literally bottle hyena laughs. There's a literal robot in one episode that has like sci-fi levels of technology, even though it's supposed to be the 60s and so on. So like there are, even in its original format, there are little nods to, yes, most of these guys are going to be fake because it's easier to fake the supernatural than it is to do it for real, but there is still real supernatural stuff.
Oh,
And even in the 70s you had Scooby Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School. I'm trying to think of
That's
some
what
of
I'm
the other ones.
talking about.
the part I found kind of funny was it did an entire spin-off of an entire teams of different supernatural researchers. One of them starred a ghost. One of them starred Mike Tyson.
Right, because the Scooby Doo clones. Okay, I was very confused for a second. I'm like, when did Scooby Doo have spin-offs?
The
But
Mike
But the
Tyson
thing is,
one, yeah.
you bring up Reluctant Werewolf and Ghoul School. Those are mostly Scooby and Shaggy adventures. I'm talking about the times where the mystery team were together. When it came down to Zombie Island, that's where they
yeah,
were going to break the formula right then and there. But they
I
went back to the formula within what's in Scooby Doo. It's when Mystery Incorporated started really back into, oh shit, this is real now.
well, and again, one thing I do like about Mystery Incorporated, even though I do have issues with it,
Hmm.
is there is a nice balance between, yes, it's easier to fake it, but there is also real stuff. Which again,
Hmm.
if you're paying attention, there was even little nods to that in the Where Are You days. So
Yeah,
it's not that far out of left field. Um,
I'm not
I
saying it's not
personally think that
real.
those four movies, Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost, uh, Scooby Doo and the Alien Invaders, and Scooby Doo and the Cyber Chase. Those four movies, for me at least, are peak Scooby Doo. They are almost perfect, all four of them.
Well, like,
I'm not saying. What I'm getting at mostly is it's the reason why Scooby Doo survived the test of time comparative to its brethren. That in most times either some lasted at least about one season, or one didn't even last that much, or didn't even get that far into a season's worth of episodes. It's the reason why it's the one that survived, not necessarily because it's the original or it's the first. It's the fact that it's willing to experiment and get out of its shell every once in a while. With those movies being as big as they were, and succeeding at their height, like you said, peak. That's the reason why Scooby Doo lasted that long. To which I did concede on that, because I've always had my issues with Scooby Doo lasting that long, when we could have had so many other shows that has potential, like Jabberjaw having its own little adventures. Like imagine Jabberjaw tackling like deep sea myths, like the Kraken and ancient
Loch Ness
sea beasts,
Monster or
Loch
something
Ness
along those
monster.
lines.
Yeah, But
Honestly, all you're doing there is convincing me we need to reboot the Hanna-Barbera universe proper. Like, I agree. We should bring back Josie and the Pussycat. We should bring back Speed Buggy. We should bring back Jabberjaw and all the rest of them. I can't bring myself to ever say a bad word about Scooby Doo because, well, Scooby Doo was my shit growing up. It was
it
like
was mine too.
Yes, me
between
also.
it was a toss up between Looney Tunes and Scooby Doo, which I obsessed about more as a child. Something I will also say for a millennial who was born in the '90s and grew up in the early 2000s, um, one of the things I find fascinating about the original Scooby Doo Where Are You is how much of a time capsule of the 1960s it is, without
Hmm.
even necessarily meaning to be. Like, Scooby Doo is where I learned about the concept of a malt shop for the first time. And only later did I realize just how much of a perfect time capsule of the 1960s Scooby Doo actually is. Obviously, after getting into all the history of the stuff surrounding it, and of course Flower Power and the New Age revival and so on and so forth. But but yeah, it's uh, it's unusual how universal and ubiquitous Scooby Doo can be, given that it is something that's fundamentally rooted in the 1960s. Like, the the reason why Fred wears an ascot is because he is meant to be the, like, handsome jock preppy dude from the 1960s who's supposed to be like hippie fashionable
Can
and
you
so on.
imagine that all of that being undone by a Pajit?
Hmm?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
I might if I had heard what you said. What did you say?
I said, can you even imagine before all that being undone by a Pajit woman?
He's talking about Mindy Kaling, by the
Yes,
way.
I
Oh,
got
thank
I
you
got
for.
I got the
His
joke.
side
Thank
confirmed it. His side
thank you
confirmed it.
thank you for reminding me that Velvet exists and giving me once more a good reason to fantasize about putting Mindy Kaling in a goddamn jigsaw trap. God damn it,
let's
Or an
not forget.
inescapable escape room.
Let's not
Yes.
forget the
Scooby
Velma
Doo,
show ended.
Scooby
But
Doo.
if you
Good.
wanted like a monster, you know, focused team and all that, and since it's on Hanna Barbera, there was the Drac Pack, Dracula Pack, Drac.
I watched that. That was
Yeah.
Yeah,
fun. That's not the one. There was the drag pack, and then there was another one. I could get this wrong. Well, this could be the drag pack. Was this the one where by day they were like normal, but when it was time to fight, they turned into their monster alter egos?
I
Am I right?
believe so. That was the
Okay.
Drac Pack, but I recall there was like the Monster Squad, which had a
A
similar thing,
quick
not the movie
interruption. We have
Hmm.
not yet talked about Casper, the
Ghostbusters.
friendly ghost.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. How can we leave Casper out? Of course, I
he's
love
friendly.
Casper.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and
I
I
mean,
liked his.
I just love his abilities as a ghost, just the phase through, the shape changing, or at least the shape molding, the um the flying, and he's not really he's not really beholden to a haunted house rules. He's
Well, yeah, none of the ghosts in the Casper continuity really are. Although if they had to be stuck somewhere, I hope they get stuck in the mansion from the '90s movie because my God, that place is house goals.
hmm
Like, I want to live in a house like that someday. God damn it.
I just love the fact that he was friendly and he didn't want to scare people. He wanted to be friends with the human world. So that
So
love,
was
who could
Patrick
not like that?
Swayze.
Speaking of getting back on the
True.
track of
True.
speaking of getting on the track of parapsychologists again, that the '90s Casper movie had a really interesting concept of a of a psychiatrist for the dead, or at least wanting to be a psychiatrist for the dead, and of course only succeeding when it came to Casper and his uncle. But um, I always thought that was very good. I also really like the scene where Kerrigan and Eric Idle's character Dibs, I couldn't remember his name for a second, hire all these parapsychologists and exorcists and things to get rid of the ghostly trio. even Ray's just like, who you gonna call? Someone else.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Like
that was
Gozer is not where they draw the line. The ghostly trio is where they draw the line. I've always found the implications of that hilarious.
Hmm.
the live action Casper movie actually is quite good. I kind of got a little emotional at the end. It was kind of a teary-eyed little ending, but it still was a very. That's back then when they knew how to adapt something and
Yeah,
adapt good live action, and it actually was a good. Like I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. You know,
because,
it.
because they used to understand the idea of stylization. You can get away with a lot as long as it's properly stylized and atmospheric. Disney.
Speak
Ahem.
nothing of the direct-to-video sequel.
Now, in the movie, did he die tragically or did he die of a disease?
Cold.
I
Go
I think I,
that.
I, I think I think both is the answer to that because he
Uh,
died of I believe he died of hypothermia.
oh, okay. Humble was right then because I forgot why. Why the movie did a good job giving. We never knew Casper's backstory, of course, of what his human life was like, and I think the movie did a good job with Casper explaining, unfortunately, how he died and how he became this ghost. So you're right. It respected Casper, but it just really just told a good story.
The
'Cause I
the
got
stu-
emotional at the
the stuff
end.
of his father being this like the like eccentric Victorian inventor is also really cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there was a machine he was trying to create. I think it was he was trying to help
He
him
was
or
trying
cure him or something
he
that he
was
was
trying
trying
he
to
was,
do.
Resurrect the
he was
dead.
trying to he was trying to bring him back.
Oh, okay. There was something on that line. Yeah.
With
Well,
period juice.
Oh goodness.
Hey, blood is blood. I mean, that stuff had to be blood because how are you going to turn nothing into flesh and blood? Come on.
Alchemy. I, I
Yeah.
always I always assumed it was some kind of elixir or something.
regardless, it's a fine movie. It really captures the heart of a lot of families that have watched it.
Yeah, it does.
Especially with I would say this is one of Bill Pullman's best performances.
Pullman.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, you said Paulman,
That's how I pronounce it. It's my accent. Leave it alone.
Okay.
but he was the president. Damn it! You gotta show respect.
But he did say
I
he
agree. I
did
agree
celebrate
though.
our
Him
Independence
as
Day.
Harvey was actually really good.
He did preserve our Independence Day.
Yeah.
Christina Ricci was good in it too. 'Cause she was just getting
Christina
famous.
Ricci.
Yeah.
Wait, that was
That's what I'm gonna say. Hmm.
Catherine was Christina Ricci?
Hmm.
Yes, that was Wednesday Adams.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the
Damn, that girl has
2D version,
range.
the 2D
I did
cartoon
not
it was based
I
on.
did not connect that until you said it.
Repeat
The
what you
What was that,
said,
two.
Humble?
humble.
I really enjoyed the 90s cartoon that was based on the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't
That show always cracked me up,
I don't
especially with
remember
with the with the trio's mission always to scare people. Like the fact that there was even
But
trying to think of
I
the
gotta
power
go back to
rating.
it. But didn't he come alive for one night? Wasn't he a human for
Yeah.
24
yes.
hours? All right.
Stuck on that.
I
I'm
Uh
trying
just
to reminisce, aren't
Cat
you?
Cat's
Yeah, but
Cat's mother
yeah,
came
but
back like an angelic fairy godmother and let him be human again for one night until 10, not midnight, because Cinderella was
And
older, don't you know?
yeah,
Oh, okay, I just
but she
remember.
also,
I'm sorry.
but she also mentioned to Kat's dad, that the ghostly trio actually kept their word and actually have met her years ago, like ever since they died along with Casper. So she goes to show that, yeah, even though like they scare, they do enjoy their job, they're not complete a-holes.
Yeah, that movie crammed a surprising amount of heart into it, and a surprising amount of like adult depth into it. God, I miss the
Yeah,
days when movies could do that. Be
Yeah,
kids movies and
not
still
really.
have that depth.
Not really like back, like creators like back then, like they understood their assignment, and with Casper, they not only like respected like the original comics from Harvey Comics and the original animated series, but they're able to expand upon them.
and that's what makes it a classic. Yeah, you're right, and that's what makes it. And they don't do that now, and that's what makes it a classic to me, and why I enjoyed it because it is a family picture, but I enjoyed it myself as well. And like I said, I got a little emotional at the end after he was allowed to be human, and then and so forth. And
Before we start wrapping up, we might as well talk about the one thing that Dark has been mentioning about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you can't really get more iconic as a parapsychologist character than the Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
yes, pure classic.
And
Well,
also, like what is worth mentioning is like in the well, what's worth mentioning like in the making of Ghostbusters, was like everybody like from the creative team and directors, they've done their research and they brought in and like actual like real parapsychologists and occult detectives to
They did.
actually consult. And
They
so
they,
like
they
in the
did.
making of the movie and also in the portrayal, like
Just let them
It's it,
go.
it's also really interesting that Ray is the one that usually spouts all the parapsychological technobabble because Dan Aykroyd's father was actually a paranormal researcher. He wrote books on the subject. That's one of the
mm-hmm.
that's one of those this was meant to be, and no one can ever improve upon it. God damn you! If only
But it
Paul
also like it
Feig had
got
gotten the
people like
memo.
but it also like got people interested like in parapsychology as well as like the field of investigating the paranormal and supernatural.
Which to be fair, in the like 70s, 80s, and 90s when the movies are set, there was like an occult revival happening. That's why I really liked in Ghostbusters 2 when they had Ray owning his own occult shop. Um, which I still to this day wish that place existed so could shop there. I I've been in a lot of occult shops in my time, but none of them are quite as awesome as Ray's look in Ghostbusters 2.
You good, humble?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just listening along.
well, it was that knowledge that helped Ghostbusters be the funny movie that it was because it was Dan Aykroyd's interest in studies of the
but it
supernatural
goes, but it
that
goes to
played into the.
show how I don't mean to cut into you, Leia.
Go
But it
ahead.
goes to show how close-minded most people tend to look at old movies like that and just think that they're just brainless and
Products of their
archetypical
time.
products. Yeah, definitely products at the time. It's like product,
Yeah,
like product. The product at the time is they actually did the utmost amount of research, the utmost amount of knowledge seeking, and applied that knowledge to what you see on film.
Yeah, it's
If
why
you
it's
had,
why
if you,
Ghost it's why
and
the
once
Ghostbusters
again,
franchise is it's why the Ghostbusters franchise is one of the most accurate portrayals of like the supernatural and occult. Again, speaking as someone with 19 years of experience as a practicing occultist, I very much enjoy Ray's technobabble because I can actually listen to that technobabble and go, I understand exactly what you are saying, and it is perfect.
Hmm. Indeed. It's like you'd be
Well, a
surprised
similar
at
work
what.
of similar work of fiction that actually that
Yeah,
He's
finish
lagging
them.
again, I think.
Come on down. Finish.
well
Is he
another
running?
You could
work.
do it.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I just had to get the connection working. Well,
So
anyway,
that's
another
super
work of
treat for
fiction,
you.
besides another work of fiction, besides that's Ghostbusters. As it is, well, another Chris Carter made work Millennium with Lance Henriksen's Frank Black. Who has the psychic ability to essentially see into the minds of serial killers through psychic visions.
I have not seen that
And with
yet. I
him,
need to.
he has encountered supernatural phenomenon as well, as well as fighting off the organization known as the Millennium Group that wants to initiate the apocalypse. And what one was I brought up Dawn to Dawn, like as them, I mean the series acting as Japan's answer to the X Files, it's accurate, but at the same time, it's a mixture of that as well as Millennium, because really with Ken and the crew, they encounter extraterrestrial and supernatural phenomena.
I have not seen Millennium yet. I need to.
And what that was really good. What also helps with Momo's grandma, she is an expert in that field, and she actually wanted to train like Momo in that practice. But for a while, she actually she was initially skeptical of her grandma and her abilities, but well after she had her encounter with the aliens as well as Turbo Granny, right, she her belief in her grandma as the supernatural in general has been repaired.
Basically, she and Okarun made a bet. They both lost the bet, and they both gained a new friend in the process.
Hmm.
As as well as acknowledging both of their interests are part of, they're not only real, but they are not to be effed with at all.
As the modern memes have it, Fafo.
Yep.
Yeah, well, although I will say, before we do eventually wrap things up, there is actually there was once upon a time a live action John Constantine in the form of John Domingue. It was him. He's actually a practitioner of hoodoo, not voodoo. So he essentially gives protection charms and the to the civilians, while at night he actually faces off the demons and other malevolent supernatural forces.
The difference for anyone who's curious between hoodoo and voodoo is
The voodoo you
hoodoo,
do.
hoodoo is a folk magic system born partially from the Afro-Caribbean diaspora, but also from Native American sources and also um, Germanic, specifically Pennsylvania Dutch sources, and so on. Um, Voodoo is a religion that just happens to have a large magical component. The deities of voodoo are the Loa. There's no actual explicit um, sort of over religion for hoodoo. Hoodoo is a magic system that can adapt itself to damn near any folk religion or folk practice.
Yep. And of course, a familiar figure in voodoo is Baron Samedi.
Uh, yes, the chief of the Gede Lao, who are the Death Loa. There are
Mm-hmm.
there are broadly speaking three families or categories of Loa. There is the Rada Loa, which are sort of the light working ones. There's the Puerto Loa that are the more explicitly malevolent ones, and then there are the Gede Loa in between the two, who sort of stand above the other two in some sense and balance the other two because frankly no one
And
wants to fuck
you'd be
with the
correct.
Baron. Um and
No. Yeah, but
I call him the Baron because Baron Samedi actually has several names. Um there's Baron Lacroix, Baron Criminel, um Baron Sametier, which is different from Baron Samedi, and then of course there's sort of the Baron's classic flavor, which is Baron Samedi. But there are essentially four different like guises or personas the Baron adopts in different situations. I could go into more detail, but I get the feeling that that would be going too deep into the exposition.
Ooh.
And we're getting ready to wrap up, anyways.
I will say, in spite of like, but I will say briefly, like, in spite of his appearance, he's not a bad guy.
No, he's the Baron is all about the balance i- between forces, and frankly, frankly, while all the Loa have a certain degree of party persona about them, the Baron is one of the most one of the most uh, excessive partiers in the entire like pantheon of the Loa. If you catch the Baron in
Yeah,
a
you
good
got that
mood, you
right.
will have a crazy time. If you catch the Baron
In
in a
other words,
bad mood,
he's fun
then
at
that
parties.
will be all she wrote for you. But if you catch the Baron in a relatively good mood, you will have a fantastic time. You probably won't remember much of it because you will be hungover to all hell afterwards, but you will have a great time.
Indeed.
All right. I think that's a good stop off point right there. So,
Yay!
shut up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to collect my thoughts right now. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Those, did anybody even come to the party? There's only one of you in there.
Oh,
I say this still was that's so strange.
well, maybe they'll come on our back watch as we
They
ease
always come
closer
on a
to
backwatch,
Halloween.
but
They'll
how?
probably
It's the
come then.
net. They always find a way to come.
Oh, yes.
I mean, is that not what the internet is for?
To come? Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
I mean, it does give a whole new reason to, or a whole new definition of the term "come together" right now.
He's learning. So yeah, tune in for I don't know what we're gonna be doing this week. We're gonna be doing something. I just don't know what it is right now. But keep
We'll keep
tuning
you up.
in as always. Yeah, he'll keep well. Sorry, I'm off today. Not off work, but I'm just a little off. Thank you so much for everybody for trying to understand our prattle tonight, but you know, we was able to salvage it right here towards the third act. And hopefully we'll have some more things to talk about in the coming next month. And of course, we also got our major ones that's coming up this month. What with Crow, Bad Moon, even a discussion on the Tron growing franchise. So
The third one looks better than the second one ever did, so hopefully we're in good territory.
debatable. but I'm still gonna see it. It's necessary. I gotta go see it. You guys need to know what's up. What's the up and up? Anyways,
I'll be seeing Aries as well.
roll count time. The Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining us in tonight's episode of The Real Millennials. If there are any like occult detectives and parapsychologists, real and fictional like that you wanted to like bring up in the comments section, make sure you do that. But until then, this is the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell signing off. And remember, keep up the good fight and maintain hope, idealism, and optimism alive in the world. Because remember, cynicism and nihilism are for losers.
Why the fuck your shit works when we're about to leave?
Oh boy.
I'll never get it. It's a mystery we'll never solve.
It's probably
The
Lucas again.
the humblest of writers, Humble Marty.
Hello, I'm Humble Marty and I write things. Thank you for coming to our live stream today, and I hope you get to revisit us again on the playback.
We'll see. The Authenticator.
Hello everyone, I am the Authenticator. If you like my bizarre weirdness, you can find me frequently over on the Anglican channel called I Love Comics. Haven't been there in a while because life has been kicking my ass, but that's neither here nor there. You can also find me more reliably. We try for every Wednesday on the Duality of Men channel, which I share with Mr. E2099, which is a men's rights and men's issues podcast. We most recently talked about the Charlie Kirk incident and that whole rigmarole. You can also find me every Saturday at 8:30 on the podcast Storm, which I share with Brains from our pop culture. And for the entire month of October, we're doing Halloween themed shit because, well, if you're not, then you're not doing it correctly, frankly. Um,
Hmm.
Other than that, you may occasionally find me here, but I guess I will see y'all in the next one. Cheers, guys.
The lovely Leia Bow Leia Plus Size.
Good evening, everyone. This is Leah Plus Size, your lovely lady of valor. And thank you for those that did join us, or for those of you that are coming into this stream on a backwatch as October as progresses on. Thank you for joining us. Please leave in the comments below if you have any comments you would like to make about your favorite paranormal shows or movies. I know the Conjuring movies have been very popular. I meant to mention those, but those have been, and if you like those, put them in the comments below. I'm sure Wolf will very much appreciate it. We love to hear from all you guys. And until then, I hope you all have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.
The Sixth Ranger, Dark Stranger.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And this is your welcome to Wolf Town. Remind you guys once again, you're the UN Spacey. Welcome to the Wolf Fleet. Let's go kill some.